It is another wonderful Sunday night for Sunday Night Skippy Racing action, and we are coming to you live from a plot of land that I believe is now apartment buildings, but will live forever in iRacing as Oran Park Raceway. We are racing the Grand Prix layout tonight, 1.62 miles. Nice hot track tonight, 113 degrees Fahrenheit, as we are racing at around noon in Australia. Joining me tonight on the broadcast is I can't say defending, but previous Sunday Night Skippy Formula 2 champion Peter Lee. Once again, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Chris. I have no idea what we're going to see tonight with this hot track and this super technical, twisty, turny, full of surprises kind of track here.
Yeah, we thought we were in for a treat last week, which we were ultimately at Mid-Ohio, but we cranked it up to 11 here for the technical bits on Oran Park Raceway. Other than the front stretch there, I guess maybe a little bit, and you can speak more to this than I could, but not any sort of draft available outside of that piece of it. You can see here as we look at the scenic camera views that and the track map itself, this is going to be quite a different challenge from your Watkins Glen type style tracks.
Well, I think all of the league drivers are just loving this track, but it's one of these tracks that if you lose even just 1 millisecond of concentration, it's going to punish you. There are just little surprises. It's so much fun. In fact, some people have compared it to a kart racing track. It's that technical. But just any lapse of judgment, of concentration, of anything, and you're going to swap ends. And so it's really something that's going to just reward people who can be super fast, but also just stay absolutely focused for the entire 35-minute race.
Speaking of super fast, Michael McLeod setting the hot lap right now as qualifying comes to an end. We had a 10-minute qualifying session. Drivers are allowed to finish their laps if they were out there for one, but 1:14.9 seconds is going to be your at least provisional pole position here tonight, unless somebody else can swoop in at the last second. But considering that's nearly 0.4 seconds faster than Rafa Beaufil, they're going to have to lay down a scorcher to make that happen. So that is looking like what we're going to start the race with McLeod and Beaufil on the front row. We've got a strong field here tonight with 12 drivers that'll take the green flag. Talk to me a little bit about the track temperature, because this is a little bit warmer than what the public races were and some of the other practice races. What does that do for the drivers, and how are they going to have to adjust?
Well, it's going to really make the first 3 or 4 laps extremely treacherous. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some off tracks, maybe even some incidents. Turn 2, the turn 1, turn 2 complex is very, very dangerous on cold tires. Turn 4, before you go onto the Dunlop Bridge, is, it's one of those things that there seems to be a body buried under that, right under the apex of turn 4. And it's a huge bump. And if you hit it right, it helps you. If you hit it wrong, it's like an undead person buried there has grabbed your wheel and spun you. And and then the S's, the S's are fun, but again on cold tires, first 3 or 4 laps, especially on a hot track, it's really going to require a lot of care, and so we'll really have to keep a close look and keep our cameras kind of looking everywhere.
Firmly pointed at all the action. Yeah, so we're taking the grid here. You saw the results. Once again, Michael McLeod, congratulations on the pole position there. Rafa Beaufil will start second. Oliver Hartley, Jake Ashe, Matthew Shepka, Rusty Pottenberg, Barry Stockdale, Rich Butler, Nick Tullo, Dan Pagowski, Pim Luth, and Joe Zubovich will round out your field. A nice, the regulars here, if you will, all 12 drivers. Actually, Pim Luth shouldn't be racing, no?
He's
he is. Okay.
No, he's entitled to.
There we go.
He qualifies for SF2. It's great to see him racing today.
I got a little confused there. I
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a while, but here we go. Barney's going to wave that green flag there. You can see in the stands. We'll keep on the Cavalcade Racing blimp here as they head down that long straightaway to turn 1. It's nice that we get to see all the drivers in one shot here, because that really is never the case. They go under the bridge there. That's another cool little thing. I'm surprised there aren't more shenanigans here with going under and then over a little bridge there. But guys, keeping it clean so far. You see Joe Zubovich there really taking his time at the tail end of the field, kind of doing what I would do and just, waiting for things to shake out a little bit and then maybe start to lay it down.
Yeah, I think you really have to think about, to finish first, you have to first finish, and that's especially true in these early laps.
Well, so far so good for Michael McLeod, out to a not a commanding lead so far. Beaufil able to maintain about a 0.5 second gap there. In fact, why don't we bring that up so everybody can see? And these two drivers, though, they're kind of out there on an island at the moment.
Now that turn 1, turn 2 complex that they just went through, you're just on the knife edge. You're just barely keeping the car under control. And it's just white knuckle there. And now as they come around here in turn 3, coming down to turn 4. Turn 4 looks easy, but there's this weird bump. That's that dead body with the undead hand. And it's funny because that bump, it's really harsh, but it can either push you so you can get on the throttle earlier, or it can cause your rear end to swap. And so that's another kind of place to watch, especially to see if we have incidents early on in the race.
Well, for the most part, looks good, although Nick Tullo looks like he may have gone off along with Pim Luth. I saw him still sitting in the pits there. You can see along the bottom of the screen. Looks like he's getting some toe damage. Let's see toe from some damage here. We can see what may or may not have happened to him. As we're in slow-mo here for some reason.
I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with everyone. They're really keeping it clean. There's it's a long race, and so it's good for everyone just to keep it on track.
Indeed. So it looks like Barry Stockdale, Luth having a little bit of contact there. Nick Tullo going to not collect anybody, not gain any damage, but that's going to set him back a little bit there, coming to start-finish line. Unfortunate for him, but he is back up and rolling. Let's go back live now, where Michael McLeod is out to a 0.8 second lead. Oliver Hartley, basically the top 6 have, and we're, once again, I don't know why that keeps happening. My computer really wants us to watch this race in slow-mo today. We got the top 6 have basically kind of just kept their positions, and Dan Pagowski in P7 right now is up 3 spots. And we're gonna have contact between the leaders. That's gonna let Oliver Hartley sneak by.
Oh boy, that's huge.
And we have more contact.
Turn 1, turn 2 complex. That helps Jake Ashe.
All right, let's see.
Matt Shupka had an off track, but he's back on track.
Back on track. Let's try to look at this one more time here.
Michael McLeod's car looks damaged. So I think he's limping back to the pits.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know what happened there to Rafa Bofill, but he went off in the grass and just nowhere. I mean, you can see his wheels locked up, but at that point, he's just along for the ride. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. So not
Yeah.
sure what led up to that, but here, once again, this was Dan Pegowski and Rich Buller. Maybe something. Rich, yeah, was looking on the inside and locked it up himself. So, yep, we'll see what happens there. But those are some early incidents for those drivers. Michael McLeod going to limp it onto pit road. Oliver Hartley now. Actually, what happened there? Why?
Yeah, Oliver was the real beneficiary because he
There we
was, I
go.
think, running P3. You know what happened to Rafa Bofill there in turn one? That's happened to me many times in practice sessions. You're coming in that turn one so hot, and you're just barely touching the brake and then shifting down from fifth all the way down to first. And the rear end gets just so squirrely, and at some point, none of the four wheels, none of your four tires are actually gripping anything, and you end up on the grass either on the left or on the right side. It's so easy to happen.
Well, certainly unfortunate events here for your early race leader and pole sitter, Michael McLeod. You've got Pim Luth, who apparently is out now after that early race contact. Barry Stockdale, Nick Tullo, all involved in incidents. Dan Pegowski and Rich Buller. So not the start that I think a lot of people were hoping for there. Although it was looking like we had 2, 3, 4 laps of real clean racing, and then everything kind of unraveled from there.
Chris, people in the league are accusing us of cursing
Of
some of these
cursing.
drivers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that kind of cursing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. As soon as we say it's going well and clean, then
Back in there's a battle for P3. Matt Shupka and Rusty Pontenberg are nose to tail. Oh, and Jake Ashe goes off track, and that allows Rusty and Matt actually to get into those two podium spots.
and one of these days, I swear. Well, now since it already happened, I think I can say without it being considered a commenter's curse. But Jake is so fast. I just want him to keep it on the track like 100% one of these times, and he'll get these wins. He's got the speed for multiple podiums, if not wins, and he's just yeah, it's just tough.
I totally agree with that. I've spent so many practice sessions on track with him, and a lot of time watching his gearbox, and he is so fast. And it's true that he just pushes it right to the edge, and it's amazing the car control that he has. But I guess every once in a while he just pushes it just a little too far.
And we have all been there. That's not any sort of
Yep.
knock on Jake for sure. That
Oh no.
I'm my own worst enemy myself, so it happens. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, I just want good things for him, and I think he's got it. He's got what it takes. Rafa Bofill in pit road now. Is this the first round of pit strategy, or what do we suppose is happening there?
Seems a little bit early. It'll be
Right?
hard to stretch for. I'd be surprised if the pit window's open now.
Interesting. All right. Well, keep your eyes there on the. Where did he end up coming out there? Currently sitting in 11th. So yeah, keep your eyes on the number 2 car. But out front, by a wide margin right now, is Oliver Hartley. Kind of cruising right now after the 2 leaders ended up making contact. Oliver, the beneficiary to your point, and he is capitalizing on that at the moment.
It's fantastic to see Rusty and Matthew up there battling, and they're running about 0.3 slower per lap than Oliver. But I think if they can get a little more pace and good pit stop, They could really make up a lot of ground here.
Yeah, this is far from over. As we've seen, things can happen real quick, and that's to say nothing of the pit strategy involved. As we saw, I don't know. So there was a lot of good racing today. There was the F1 race, there was a NASCAR race, IndyCar race, and actually pit strategy played in at least a factor in the last two, for sure. So hopefully we can replicate that here and see some interesting strategies play out. In the meantime, though, Oliver Hartley, Rusty Punberg, Matthew Shepka is your podium. Jake Ashe is watching, waiting for a mistake, just like that.
Matthew Shepka just lost it again in T2. That's going to give Rusty a lot of breathing room now with Jake Ashe in third place.
So just like that, things change. And here is Rich Butler now up 3 spots, sitting in 5th position. He's got Dan Pagowski trying to close the gap on him. Joe Zubovich is your currently your biggest gainer on the evening, up 5 spots. So we saw him kind of chilling out at the back of the pack there early in the race, and that so far that seemed to have been paying off, because he's, I think for the most part, I don't see anything too crazy on the event log there. Been able to stay out of trouble. And Nick Tullo just behind him, who spun it a little bit early, but is still up 1 spot overall. And here's your pole sitter, Michael McLeod, trying to work his way back up. He's currently 36 seconds back. And Barry Stockdale just behind him, also involved in early race incident. And then, I guess much further back, there's Ophil, who all these guys once again involved in either contact or spins of some kind. And he's down 9 spots and just hoping for a break, hoping somebody else makes a mistake and seeing what he can do with some potential pit strategy.
Well, Rafa has the speed, so he'll be able to make up a few spots if things go right, but he's got his work cut out for him for sure.
Indeed, a big hole dig out of for sure. So, and we've got, actually, so he pit on lap 6. He was that early pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly. So Michael McLeod also, he had pit due to damage on lap 4. I believe that's going to be too early. He may have to come in one more time as well. And that's it. So we're ticking down past 13 minutes here. And things have...
I'm feeling bad about saying something good about Rusty earlier, because he must have had some issue, and he's now behind Jake Ashe, running in third. Jake Ashe in second.
If you can't watch that pass. Well, I don't know. It looks like Jake, we said he has speed. He was able to make a nice clean pass there on the outside going into turn 1. It's starting to pull away.
That outside pass in turn 1, that takes courage. I don't know that I could do that. That's a lot like what Lewis Hamilton did twice
Right.
today in the Formula 1 race. The usual way you want to try to pass someone there is to go on the inside, because then you get the inside position not only in turn 1, but also under heavy braking in turn 2. But to go around on the outside like that, it just shows the kind of driver that Jake is there.
Let's take a look at the sectors here. You can see Oliver Hartley setting some purple ones, and we'll follow along on this lap to see if Jake is catching him, falling back, thinking about equal, but right now just shy of 11 seconds that Jake has to make up. And Rusty Punberg after that is going to go into pit road, so I do believe this could be That for sure has got to be a normally scheduled pit stop now. We're
Yes.
coming up
Yeah,
past
I
15
think we're
minutes.
within the open fuel window now.
Well, as you can see there, Oliver starting to slowly pull away, and the sector times reflect that, as you would expect. Although it does. Oh, now it's Shepka, because Jake Ashe is now down pit road. So we have a couple different strategies playing out here. Slightly different laps, not too crazy different, but oh,
Well,
Oliver.
oh,
I think he was able to save that pretty well, and he's got enough of a gap right now where little mistakes like that probably aren't going to hurt him too bad, but you don't want to be making a habit of that for sure.
well, we've talked about this. When you have that big lead, it can be hard to maintain concentration. And as we were saying just before the race started, this is a track that will absolutely punish you if you have any lapse in concentration.
Look at,
It's
I mean,
yeah.
Shepka, we saw his sector times from before. He is gaining on Oliver. So we'll see if he decides to duck into pit road or when he does, because Shepka is on the march here. You can see him gaining time every single sector, and that gap just starting to come down slowly but surely.
Indeed, Shepka and McLeod are the only two right now who have set lap times in the 1:14s. Pretty fast.
Well, speaking of which, looks like McLeod's going to let Oliver go on by.
That may have been Michael McLeod properly honoring a blue flag. On that pit stop that we saw Jake Ashe take, we've been seeing that pretty much consistently week after week with him. He seems to like to get his first pit stop in earlier in the pit window, fuel window than most of the other racers, and it seems to be working out for him pretty well.
Yeah, I would agree. I haven't seen. I'd like. Well, it's tough to compare since we haven't seen him take it later, but it's certainly the proof is in the pudding there, if you will, for his list of results. He's got a. I was just looking at the lap times as Matthew Shepka comes in, ceding that second place spot at least momentarily. So Bofill's pit stop was the fastest on lap 6 there, so he's got to be hurting for fuel. I got to imagine he'll be coming back in. But outside of that, Rusty Ponberg actually nearly 2 seconds faster than the rest of the guys who have already come in. So Rusty with a heck of a stop, and we'll see if that plays out with maybe a position or two.
Now we're seeing that even though Michael McLeod let Oliver Hartley by, probably under a blue flag, that Oliver really isn't pulling away from Michael. And so this is a situation where, under the rules, Michael can retake the position. In fact, here we have Oliver ducking into the pits.
There we go. Let's see, Dan Pegowski then 20 seconds behind is going to be inheriting the lead, assuming he doesn't also down pit road. It looks like he's not going to. So there you go. Rich Butler also staying out.
This is a really slow pit lane, 31-mile-per-hour limit.
Oh,
and
it's
it
gotta
just
hurt.
it's
Feels like you're crawling.
very relaxing. By the way, the chatter on the Discord by the league members this week, I thought was just really interesting because, I think this was a new track for a lot of the other drivers. It was new for me. And, the first experience is pretty exhilarating. It's just fun to try to learn a super technical track like this. And then, you could hear a few complaints pop up. The track feels a little small. The pit entry and exit, are a little wonky. Yeah, it's a little narrow, not many passing zones. But then by the end of the week, leading up to today, I think universally people are just loving this track, and it's just been great that we're here.
Yeah, I think we said at the beginning of the season that this is one of the, well, at least in the 5-6 seasons that we've been doing this, probably the most universally loved overall schedule for the season. And I think that's playing out when you see, to your point, the discussions about all these individual tracks. And I think people, I don't know if it's just because we came off a few draft-heavy tracks that it probably amplified this a little bit. But either way, yeah, this seems to have received universal praise, and even some other hosted sessions going up by league members, in different cars or different configurations on the track itself. So people definitely getting their money's worth out of Oran Park. Well,
so back in fuel strategy,
yeah.
Jake, we were seeing week after week, seems to go in early on in his fuel window, and on the opposite end is Daniel Pagowski, who seems to like to delay his fueling until the very end, and looks like he's finally coming in here.
See if Rich follows him. Yep. So our two leaders, that's going to 18 seconds. I've got to imagine they're going to hand the lead back over there to Oliver Hartley. So he will retake. Let's see how far out Pagowski and Butler. Yeah, look at them. They're just crawling down pit road. You can see it on the left side screen there. Oh, that's gonna hurt.
And I think Jake Shea is likely to also go by in time.
So this is actually, this worked out pretty interesting. Jake, Rusty, and Matt Shepka here have all found each other. And, ooh, hold on to it. These guys are going to, I think, just be in the battle for that last podium spot, because Oliver, 13 seconds now, that's bigger than his gap was before the pit stops. And barring an incident or crazy off track, I got to imagine it's his to lose. You can see Jake really just exploring the limits of the track there with Rusty and Matt close in tow. And then we got pretty good gaps there back through the rest of the field.
Oh, but what an awesome battle this is with Jake, Rusty, and Matt. They're, in a way, this is, I found in the public races I did this week on this track, it actually helps you to have someone to follow and to chase. And you see so many wiggles. Everyone starts to be a little bit over the edge sometimes, and in a weird psychological way, it inspires you with confidence, keeps you going.
Yeah, I think that angle right there that we were riding along board here with Shepka, and you can see just how bold you have to be to make a pass on the outside there going into turn one, especially on a hot track like this. You got to be on the ragged edge. But look at, just riding along with these guys, just look at the ups and the downs and the off camber and the going up over the bridge. Like, what a crazy track.
And you could see that turn 4 bump before you go onto the bridge. It really just really compresses your. It looks like Shepka is taking a look inside before the S's. That's a super hard place to try to pass. And really here now, as you're coming to turn 12, you just need. It's so important to set yourself up for a good exit here, because this is the one long straight, and this sets up the prime passing opportunity as you're coming into turn 1, turn 2 complex. Yeah, so with all of the hills in this turn 1 passing zone, when I was watching the Formula One race this morning, it kind of reminded me of the same thing, the same setup there.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting observation there. They just look like they are wheeling those things tonight. That is.
At the beginning of the week, I thought that this was sort of like a smaller version of Mid-Ohio, because it's, a lot of slower turns, very technical. But, it's actually not. This is, Mid-Ohio required some finesse, and you wanted to keep the tires a little quiet. Here, you're just manhandling the car through a lot of these turns.
I mean, that is on full display here. This is a great battle. Yeah. And by the way, don't look now, but that 2 car of Rafa Bofil has closed a multi-second gap, and he's joining the party.
Wow. Oh, here we have Matt Shupka taking a look inside in turn 1. And now, see, this is that inside position. Gives you the advantage going into turn 2. Right there. So that's not the Lewis Hamilton way, but that's the easy way.
Woo!
What a great battle. Meanwhile, Jake, I think, is benefiting. He's able to run away a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. So not closing the gap necessarily on Oliver. In fact, that's spreading. But, anytime you can get the drivers behind you focused on each other, and especially if they're going side by side through any part of the course, all the better. All right, well, we're 27 and a half minutes in, so let's do a look through the field, although I hate to pull away here because this is just such a good... Rafael Bofil is really charging up through the field here, and he kind of hit the wall when you meet guys like Rusty and Matt, and just not able to get around them just yet, so... We'll see if he can pull that off, but real quick, Oliver Hartley, your race leader, now over 15-second gap from the field. You can see him there on the track map, just kind of out on an island, hoping to keep it that way. Jake Ashe in second place, also trying to put some space in between him and the guys battling behind him. The race we've been watching here with Chepka, Pottenberg, and Bofil. This is going to be the battle for P3. And behind them, just a little bit, is Dan Pagowski in P6, up 4 spots. Rich Butler will be the next driver in P7, about 5 seconds behind him. Michael McLeod, your pole sitter, doing his best to try to work his way back up. He did come down pit lane one more time on lap 12, so 2 pit stops and a spin's not easy to make up, although he's doing his best. Nick Tullo in P9, Joe Zubovich is in P10. Barry Stockdale still out there running some laps in P11, and we got the broadcaster's curse once again. I don't know what to do with these guys. I'm sorry.
And I was just going to say, Barry, even though he's he's had that incident, he's a lap down, he was really starting to pressure Daniel Pagowski.
Yeah.
But
no. You know what? We should just not talk and just stream the race, I think. I don't know what to do at this point. I guess we'll see. But as we were talking about that, Shepka has pulled away to some extent from Pottenberg. And actually, what happened to Bofil?
Rafa also spun in T2 at the same time that Barry did, and so they both have all of that good work to catch up. They need to do it all over again.
Man, all right. Well, work cut out for him for sure. Well,
We have a pretty good battle here with Nick Tolo really putting a lot of pressure on Joe Zubovich, or the other way around.
yeah, it's going to be a good race to the end with only a few minutes remaining. Just a handful of laps, and we've got a couple battles throughout the field. So there's Rich Butler and Michael McLeod trying to work his way past the 48 Air Force Warthog there. And then not that much room separates Jay Kashe, Matt Shepka. Although they do seem to have pulled themselves away for those podium spots. But yeah, here we go. This is Zubovich and Nick Tolo. Going to be the battle for P9, and this gap keeps coming down.
Well, as we said at the beginning, this is a track that that actually invites a lot of incidents, a lot of off tracks, a lot of spins, and it is. You can see, especially through the S's, you can see just how much the rear end of these skippies just wiggles like crazy, and you're almost like a drifting competition around some of these turns. And when you do that lap after lap, like these guys are doing, just any little just misjudgment, miscalculation, and you're going to swap ends. And we've just seen a lot of that today. It's really going to be crazy to see 40 plus cars in the SF1 race later tonight and see how that works out.
Yeah, that's going to be a little claustrophobic for sure. We were watching that great battle with Nick and Joe. Nick coming down pit road, not 100% sure. I don't know if he was running out of fuel or what, but he's been down there for a while now. Well, that's going to leave. You can see him making his way off pit road there. But this is going to...
What's up? So Matt Shepka is
right
making
there.
up serious ground and putting serious pressure on Jake Gashe. This is the battle for P2. Oh, Jake goes a little bit wide, and here we get some side-by-side action through the dog leg. Oh, and looks like that's I've seen a few passes there in that dog leg. As you make that kind of right left, the left is right at the crest of the hill. You can get very, very lightweight, and you could see Jake just washing out there. Now Jake's going to try to draft and take it back here in turn one, and is not quite able to do it.
You can see Matt was dragging a little bit of his right rear wheel there in the grass, which is always a dangerous proposition if you don't get it just right. But all this is a lot, by the way. Oh, locking up the right front. Rusty Pottenberg found his way back to Jake Gashe's bumper.
And now Rusty is coming in turn 4. This is so important. You can see the whatever that undead body is under there in turn 4 causing a little bit of a wiggle. Some of the chatter by the league members in Discord said that this is a track that does not give you any time to rest. It's
I believe it. I mean, you can
yeah.
see it looks like there isn't even a. I mean, maybe on the front stretch here you get a opportunity to get a small sip of water, but even then, my goodness. Well, we are ticking down here. We're past 35 minutes. Oliver Hartley is where is Oliver? Find Oliver.
Oh,
He's in the
we've been,
pits.
yeah.
What in the world? What happened to Oliver? Did he run out of fuel? Is that going to leave Shepka up there
It looks like it.
as your
And
race
so
leader?
now the Rusty Jake Ashe battle, along with Daniel Pagowski, the Rusty Jake battle is now for P2.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, so that, holy cow, did not see that coming. Missed that completely. Shepka coming around the last couple corners here through the dogleg, and takes, if he's going to try anything, if he's going to send it, it's got to be now. Because I do believe this is our white flag lap here. It's going to be it. Yep, checkered flag is out as
Yeah, they come
Shepka
side
comes
by
around the
side
line.
coming out of.
Oh boy. It's a drag race. Rusty pulls it out. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've seen a closer finish. Holy cow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
And Oliver Hartley, he must have sputtered there on that last lap and needed to come in for some fuel.
Unfortunate. He had himself an 18-second lead. I guess that part of that probably, I mean, he had that pace too. That's what kills me. Just a little bit of a miscalculation on the fuel, I'm assuming, or he had to. I mean, it seemed like he was out on track too long to be serving a penalty or anything like that. So maybe we'll get the full story later. But holy cow, what a finish there! And congratulations to Matt Shepka. And I got to believe that
I'm
was
hearing
his
some of the chatter amongst the drivers, and Oliver is saying that he ran out of fuel at the end there.
Oh man, oh, such a heartbreaker.
Uh,
Oh, I hate it for him, but yeah, congratulations to Matt Shepka on his first ever Sunday Night Skippy victory. I do believe that to be the case. So Rusty Pondberg in second and Jake Ashe in third. We'll pull up your results here. And yeah, man. Well, hey, I know you're gonna get rolling, right? You're racing in the next race.
yes, I am,
All
but
right.
that's actually not the big news. I guess you are expecting this coming week.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, we weren't sure, Wednesday being the due date, you get rolling the dice that we were even going to be able to do this tonight. So
So is that number 2 or number
number
3?
3 for us. Yeah. Yeah. We're very, very excited. First girl for us. And yeah, we got everything ready and we're just waiting right now.
Fantastic. You have your own little podium at home.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Well put. Race control and the podium. Oh,
Well,
man.
I really I know everyone in the league is sending best wishes, and we'll
Awesome.
wait to hear the great news this week.
Yes, yeah, I'll be sure to post some pictures, and we really appreciate everybody's support, of course. Of course, so that means a lot. I really appreciate that. Um, yeah, well, so anyway, final thoughts before you head in and strap into your Skip Barber Formula 2000 there?
Well, just watching what I would chalk up to those little tiny lapses of concentration, which I'm very famous for. I'm pretty nervous,
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm just hoping that I can keep it on track and stay out of trouble. And if I do that, maybe I can get another top 25 or top 20 finish. So that's what I'm shooting for.
awesome, man. Well, good luck, and we'll be rooting for you. For everybody watching, we are going to take a quick break while we switch iRacing sessions. Stay tuned. But once again, congratulations to Matt Shepka on a fantastic victory. Great race there for the final podium spots between Rusty and Jake. That was a lot of fun to watch. Hope to get their perspective on that later. And Dan Bogowski, Michael McLeod are going to round out your top 5. You can see the rest of the finishers there. Good racing from everybody. And man alive, I'm excited to see 30 plus cars on this track. It's gonna be crazy. It seemed pretty busy with only 12. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But good luck, and we will see everybody back here in just a few minutes. All right, welcome back, everybody, to virtual Oran Park Raceway, where we are about to watch the drivers of Skippy Formula One this time. About 40 of them, if you can believe it, take to the track and navigate their way around this 1.62-mile circuit over, under bridges, etc., etc. Joining me tonight is Jason Bice. How are you doing?
I am doing well, and sadly, virtual is the only way to experience Oran these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apartment complexes, right?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Well, it will live forever on iRacing, and for that we are thankful. And I'll tell you what we harped on in the first race was I'm glad they scanned it and got it in here because it seems to be I don't know about a favorite, but certainly up there for a lot of these drivers.
Absolutely. It is one of my all-time favorite tracks, probably my favorite track in the Skippy, because this is just about the most drive it like you stole it track that there is for the car. The racing that you get, wheel to wheel, bumper to bumper. Most of this track has the car on a nice edge. And we visit a lot of tracks in the Skippy that aren't necessarily like that. It's a slower, lower powered car. So the larger the track, the less of that you have. But this track is so tight and so technical that you've really got to keep it on that edge to maintain your position.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the. We saw it in action there in the first race. Really, there's no other way to put it other than they were wheeling it. I mean, up on
Yep.
the steering wheel and really pushing the car to its ragged edge. I think the track was probably a little bit warmer, which probably helped the visuals there a little bit. But regardless, it's yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, you like it when you really put the race in the hands of the drivers, and I think that's what everybody is here to see. 3 seconds right now separate 1 to 38. Just
Wow.
yeah, and just to put that
Full
into
house.
perspective, 1
Yeah.
to 38 drivers. There are two other uh no, three that have not including yourself, three other drivers who have not set a time yet. So we could see upwards of 41 drivers tonight. I don't know what Jonathan, Jason, and Doug have planned, but there you go. Could get interesting.
Yeah, it's always exciting to race here, drive here, and certainly to watch, because when things go wrong, they go extraordinarily wrong. So
Yeah, so we one thing that I kind of feel like we a little bit of a broken record on, which I understand, but for anybody who's new to watching these races or joining us for the first time or one of the first times, this car, the tires are not your typical racing slicks, right? So, um, getting them up to temperature is I don't know if it's a little tougher, but certainly very critical. And before that happens, can you explain what it's like driving one of these cars on colder tires?
it's extremely unpredictable because the tires heat up. Different areas of the tire heat up at different rates. So you might have the outside of the tire that's warm, the inside of the tire still cold, or vice versa. Uh, the carcass takes a long time to warm up, and what that creates on the outlap and the first few laps is a car that will just snap correct on you out of nowhere. And not only will it do that, but saving that is much more difficult than usual because the tires are, it's almost like they're malfunctioning in a way. It's very difficult to describe, but the car can get away from you very quickly. Uh, and it's just, yeah, it's one big surprise. So uh, getting those tires up to temp and not trying to push things too hard before you do that is pretty crucial.
Yeah, and that's especially, I mean, on any track really, but when you're this tightly packed with this many technical corners, I think we saw another dynamic that can kind of play out with that first race, the Skippy Formula 2 race, was that people did take it pretty easy on those first few laps and gave each other a lot of room. And then I think probably got to lap 2 or 3 and figured we can start pushing it now. And it just was a little too early for that. So, if it doesn't, we could see a whole lot of nothing on lap 1, but that doesn't mean to not keep your eyes peeled throughout the field because things can happen real quick on courses like this.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to step out into the driver's meeting. I will be back with you shortly.
Sounds good. Well, that will end our qualifying session. Let's take a look at your grid tonight. Congratulations to Edwin Viorino out there taking pole position. Mike Bowers will start on the front row with him, only 0.02 seconds off. Mike having a fantastic hot lap there. Really coming on strong in the last few races, some unfortunate luck. So we'll see if he can turn that around. And the rest of your grid will be up there. And much as I'd love to read out everybody's names, that is a lot of people. I think we're up to 41 for sure. So here we go. We'll just scroll through and see who's up there. Sticking out to me, just a lot of the names that, like Steve Dewar, Joshua Fitz-Johnson, guys, Jeremy Grandin as well, Adam Wright, Michael McLeod. I mean, these guys are up in that top 10 position, and they are, we've seen a lot of solid results from them recently. And some other guys who normally are maybe a little further up, like your Paul Bachlers, Scott Bell, really, not that that's a bad outcome for them, but it just goes to show you that any given week here, it's very tough to predict what the grid is going to produce for you. So obviously here there, 39th, Jason Bice is going to be in the booth with us. So Doug and Jonathan will bump up one spot. And yes, getting the comment there from Peter. Yeah, Mike does fantastic in the league, and no surprise to see him far up there. And he just needs a couple things to flow in his favor, and I would not surprise me him snagging a victory here sooner than later. So congratulations to all our drivers there. And once again, just pointing out that the interval, the gaps there between 41st and first is pretty close. I know it's a shorter course as well, but this is going to be a battle for position all throughout the field. And I think the only way we're going to get some meaningful separation is going to be some off tracks and incidents, which you hate to see. We hope that doesn't happen, but just the skill gap is just such in this league that that's what you're going to count on. So, couple drivers there to point out. So Michael McLeod, your highest Skippy Formula 2 driver, he qualified up there in P11, had a unfortunate first race this evening, hoping to make up for that. But we do have your Skippy Formula 2 drivers sprinkled throughout the field. Just keep your eyes on them. And having just done this track on a little bit warmer temps, I'm sure that's going to be a good boost for them to just feel a little more confident coming in this race. Albeit there's more drivers, but at the end of the day, I think just having run a few laps will probably be a good overall experience, and see what they can do with it. So Jason is finishing up the drivers meeting here. There's going to be a lot of questions. This is one of those tracks where it's got a little bit of a goofy. I know Peter Lee was mentioning it on the earlier broadcast. Pit road, a little bit goofy in and out. Not too bad, but just one of those things where they're going to have some questions. And we've been really focused on nose to tail contact in the races, and the stewards I know are really hyper focused on that type of contact when those types of incidents happen, just kind of running into the back of people. So they're probably going to harp on that just a little bit more, especially at a course like this, because at the draft heavier tracks where you don't have as many braking zones, obviously you don't have as many issues. But here, as you saw in the first race, it's just going to be you're going to really have to put a lot of confidence in that driver behind you that they're going to give you that room to have your own braking line, and especially early on. We will, so keep your eye on that as well. And while we're waiting here, the reason that we don't have too much to talk about, I don't have too much to talk about, is our very own Team O'Brien is closing on a new house. So a big congratulations to him. I know uh, him and his family are very excited about that, and we wish them the best of luck as they head on to Wisconsin and enjoy the local region up there. So we're excited for him. Although we do miss him. Hope to have him back here shortly. And scrolling through the comments here, looks like we've got some Adam Wright fans. Team Dancy's in the house. Good to see everybody out there. Running on empty back in the house here. Awesome. Yeah, real big congrats there to Pete. I think they really. I got to see some of the pictures, and it looks like a really nice place. Very excited for them. All right, drivers are starting to grid, I believe. So I can stop doing a little tap dance here. Hopefully. We'll see the cars start to populate. Put them in line.
I think so.
All right. Time will tell. Time will tell. Team Bell in the house as well. Good to see everybody out tonight. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it really is. So we wrapped up the drivers' meeting with our pit entry and exit guidelines tonight. I think that's really going to be one for the highlight reel. So we'll see how that turns out.
I mean, we're looking at the blimp view. You can see that the yellow cone there, the yellow barrels. You can just see how goofy that entry is.
It really is.
All right. We are green once again. Look at all those cars. They were starting back on the last turn there. They're not even on the front stretch. So we'll see what happens as they navigate the field. Edwin Viorino is going to take them down into turn one.
Yeah, in turn one, we mentioned that we don't have no passing zones, and what's interesting about that is that came about as a result of a complaint early on in our first season. This track was on the rotation, and we had a catastrophe going into turn one, and so there's a little bit of dispute over whether or not it was valid to pass going into turn one. For anybody listening, the answer, of course, is yes, because we're racing cars, and that's what you do. So, we have a spin. Aaron Law and Dancy. Oh gosh.
Oh boy, we're packing. Boy. We're really driving it in there.
Yeah. Now, good. It looked like everybody coming up on that yellow flag did a great job of slowing down, but medium-sized yard sale nonetheless.
We'll let things settle down and go back and take a look. But yeah, that's not what you want to see. I know everybody's excited to get going, but that was something that we harped on recently, was the yellow flag etiquette, I guess is the right word.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we had a contingent of drivers that were great. Well, most everybody really was great about slowing down and observing local cautions. But it really just takes one person to have a lapse in judgment, say, you know what, I can pick up a couple positions if I just yeet right through this. And, well, we know how that usually turns out. So
ultimately, what this ended up doing here, after all this time, is we've got a front pack, which I believe goes back all the way to Peter Miller and P12. And then you're going to have just a slight gap back there to Scott Bell in P13. So 1 through 12 still in relative contact to one another. and then after that it just kind of stretches out. Although I will say, it looks like that's Max actually leading that pack. So you can see here another solid pack all the way back to 25 or so.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah, I'm watching Eric Lamoureux as we speak, and he's going right by the pits, so I'm interested to see how many cars we have stacked up in there. And I count 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 that I saw. But speaking of Eric, he's sitting back in P6 trying to catch that lead group, and Eric is a relatively new addition to the league. I actually bugged him for a couple of seasons trying to pull him into SNS because he's made of Teflon. He is one of the safest and quickest drivers I've ever come across. So if anybody can close this gap between P6 and P5, it's definitely going to be him.
We'll keep an eye on that. Right now, the gap is 1.4 seconds up to Chris Herrera's gearbox. So we'll monitor what happens there. Edwin remains out front. Actually, the top 6 here, all the way back to Eric, we're watching. No position changes for these guys so far. You got to come back here to Fidge Johnson, who picked up a spot there from Steve Dewar, and that's about it. And after
speaking of, has been a huge breakout this season. He's been with us for a couple of seasons and was always mid-pack, upper mid-pack, and then out of the blue, he's showing up not just in the top 10, but in the top 5. So, yeah, if I was betting on a dark horse, Fidge would be my guy.
It's running on empty. Gaps behind Chris only expand. Well, we hope so for Chris's sake. Tall order, though, with Eric Lamoureux hot on your tail, chasing you down. But we will see what happens there. Ooh, what's going on back here? We got more people off. Is that... Oh, no, Joshua Dancy. Looks like he's off track. I believe that's Oliver Hartley, too.
And that's a shame. Josh was another one who has really stepped up his game this season. We definitely saw him picking up pace last season, but he has had 2 near wins. Had a real tragic incident this past week at Mid-Ohio where he probably should have brought that home, but he just got tangled up in something on the last lap. And then
we got more
almost
contact.
had P1 at Suzuka. Wow, still.
Him, Luth, just not having a good night.
Oh no!
He had contact in the first race as well. Not going to be happy with that.
Yeah. Minor damage. His wings bent. Muffler's pointed the wrong way, but we'll see what that does to his car.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We have a comment in the stream about Mike Bowers being near the top and how that's not a surprise given his karting history. So yeah, Mike used to be a very avid karter, and I think had some success in that area. And this is definitely a track that will translate to well because of how tight and technical it is.
Yeah, he's had some... I know he was really looking forward to Mid-Ohio as well. I believe he had some unfortunate luck there, but really right now holding it down in that lead pack with Edwin, Jeffrey, and Carl. And he continue to just lay down the laps.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
Yeah, so we still have a couple cars in the pits, unfortunately.
Steve Dewar's
and
Jeremy there. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was looking to see Eric close that gap going into turn 2, because when you're in a pack of cars, going into turn 2 requires a lot of extra caution, and so you get a greater concertina effect going into that, and that gives anybody who's by themselves a second or so back, it gives them an opportunity to close that gap because they can take a lot more risk through that corner. But it looks like those first several cars, Edwin and Mike and Jeffrey and Carl and Chris, they're in lockstep, and they don't seem to be compromising their speed through turn 2 at all.
We're just watching Adam Wright, and he and Michael McLeod going side by side.
Yeah, so Adam Wright and Michael McLeod, two more top 10, I wouldn't say newcomers, but sort of broken out and are starting to become problems for people in a good way.
Yeah, right, exactly. Good clarification there. The 57 there of Peter Miller also mixing it up, and he, at least momentarily, had made his way past McLeod, but like that's not going to last very long.
Yeah, Peter's another one to see. It's great to see him on the track again. Great pace, great safety record. Very fun to go wheel to wheel with him.
Well,
yeah, so we have
Team Running on Empty would be happy to know that gaps are expanding there. It looks like Eric is falling back just a touch. Now the gap is 2.3 seconds. He and who's that? That's the 618 of Joshua Fish Johnson. Found each other, and yeah, that's your top 7 right there. What is that paint scheme though? Sorry, I know that's not right. I think that must be a new one. We'll check that one out later. But that's interesting. The 43 car of Doug Giegenheimer, if I've got that right, he is a new.
Yeah,
addition.
I think this is his first race.
So he's up 14 spots right now into P28. And
wow.
Giving Rafa Bofill a handful here as you see him work to the inside there, coming down the front stretch. And that, not to take anything away from him, but his car looks a touch cleaner than. But.
Yeah, it's rough. I'm looking at the blue cars at the bottom of the timing tower, and we've got some guys in there that you would normally see contending for top 10, top 5, and even podium. So it's just a shame that
yeah,
that little mishap early on.
Agreed. Well, gotta go back and look at Mike Bowers here making the move. He's gonna make that easy. I don't know if Edwin laid up there, but Mike hit the push to pass, but he's gonna settle in there with Jeffrey Decker in third, and now Chris Herrera, Carl Dronke. This front pack kind of split up a little bit. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, so Carl's gonna have to push to catch up to Chris, which he most certainly will. He has the benefit of Chris's draft, and very equal in capabilities. So once he catches him, will they work together to reclaim front pack status? And meanwhile, we're going to have Edwin and Mike really fighting over those bonus points for crossing the finish line in first. And so what'll be interesting is, I don't know what the current standings are. I don't know that Mike is necessarily in contention for the championship, but I'm almost certain that Edwin is. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how they work together. And we have Decker right behind Edwin, who is also certainly in the running for the championship. So
yeah, Decker in first. Looks like Mike's a little further down, although drop weeks and such, I'm sure we'll end up changing up that math a little bit. We're finally getting to the point of the season where we can start looking at that in earnest and drawing conclusions based on.
Tell you what, I will add those now so we can get a better picture.
There you go. That is service. Look at JR Hoops here. Looking at 350 of Thomas Photos. We haven't talked about these guys in a while, but another couple of fantastic drivers. And Photos rejoining us, right? After a little bit of a respite, but these guys going wheel to wheel, side by side, and put on a heck of a show.
All right, we should have a better picture now. Yeah, so we have Decker, Herrera, Lamoureux, Dancy, Valerino. And I'm reading off race results, so just ignore me. That's not what I wanted.
Well, I know we've got Team Dancy in the house too, so we got to give Joshua just a little up. Oh, the 13 car there, slow. Looks like he's gonna tow. So yeah, Dancy involved in that early yard sale, trying to work his way back onto the lead lap. That's going to be a tough hole to dig out of. So best he can do is just put his head down, turn some laps, and hope for the best. Hope for some other mistakes, or he can work his way back up through gain some positions via field strategy. But a lot of points to be had tonight. A large grid, a lot of points. You know, we've got Scott Bell fans in the house as well. He's up 4 spots right now, up into P12, watching, or I guess involved in a very close race. We were checking in with him earlier, but Peter Miller behind him, Adam Wright and Michael McLeod in front of him. And these guys have a great race going on in their own right. And I'm sure very excited to try to get back a little further up and continue to battle for a top 10 finish here.
And Scott Bell moving around Adam there. Go too wide through up, and Adam smartly backs off and lets him have it.
Live to fight another turn, as they would say.
Yeah, so it's so slow trying to go too wide around turn 1. Yeah, in my opinion, it's best to just, whoever's coming up along the inside, it's going to be their corner. So let it happen, and you've got the rest of the lap to figure out what your next move is.
I just can't get over what a good show JR Hoops and Thomas Photos are putting on right now, because these guys, they are stuck to each other like glue. Another threesome here that we've got. Well, actually, we've got a foursome. Aaron Law, Peter Lee, who joined us in the booth for the first race. Very excited for this race. Oliver Harley and Gurkan Demir, all back here battling for 21st position. So we're pulling for Peter. He's up 10 spots right now into P22. Pretty sure he's got to be happy with that result.
And he's in a great spot sitting in Aaron's draft. Aaron's a very, very quick guy, and he's unfortunately one of the and Oliver makes contact with Peter. I'm
telling you, we're just gonna start streaming the races and not talking. I can't believe it. He is going to die when he sees that we were talking about him when that happened. Oh my goodness.
I've been on the other end of that. It is surreal.
I don't know what the heck.
The curse cam.
Well, we hope that doesn't continue, because we've got a great battle for the lead with Edvin looking inside, looking outside here on Mike Bowers. I'm sure he's hungry to get back up there and lead a few laps. I don't know if he does the real-time calculations like Chris Herrera does for the bonus laps, but I know that as each one ticks by that he's not leading, less opportunity for him to get those bonus points that end up factoring in quite a bit at the end of the season. So I think we've seen already that that point structure that we introduced a couple seasons ago really makes all of these battles all the more important throughout the season.
It really does. It looks like Decker has a fairly solid lead right now. I mean, that can evaporate quickly, but he's got 16 points on Chris Herrera, who's second in the standings. But behind Chris, Eric Lamoureux is only 1 point back, and then we have Dancy 4 points back, and Edwin is tied with Dancy for 4th. So these laps-led bonuses really do matter, and I'm trying to decide if it's worth describing the formula to viewers, because it's one of those things that sounded really, really good on paper, and it actually works really well. But when you explain it to people, like, could you guys have overcomplicated this anymore?
Right.
But it works.
You had to have been there, right?
Yeah, you had to have been there.
Well, it looks like Photos is missing his wing there. Hopefully, he doesn't need any more downforce because he doesn't have it. I think he might have donated it to JR's car. It's funny.
And what's so interesting is Edwin seems very content to just sit behind Mike, and if my math is correct, my fundamental understanding of race strategy is correct, he could really use those bonus points. But what he's doing is very deliberate. So far be it for me to question Edwin's methods. He's won a number of seasons. I've yet to win a race, so I will watch and learn.
Probably a good strategy. JR Hoops is going to jump into pit road there, and yeah. So the pit strategy, fuel strategy game is afoot. This is a one-stop race, correct?
Yes. So we have a 40-minute race. We were really concerned with the safety of the pit entrance and exit tonight. We almost scrapped pitting entirely, but it went well on our Friday practice. So
there you go. Mike Bauer's going to lead yet another lap as we tick past 18.5 minutes. And you can see across the bottom of your screen and on the timing tower quite a few early takers here down pit road to fill up with fuel. Hopefully uncheck that tire box, and see Edwin now taking back the lead.
Yeah, the only thing worse than forgetting to uncheck that tire box is unchecking it when you've only had 2 tires changed. So,
right.
I mean, you want to talk about cold tire shenanigans? Put a brand new pair of fronts on with worn in rears, and that's a trip.
So when you want to turn the difficulty level up a couple notches, because you're just not you're not finding the race difficult.
Exactly.
This race for 9th here between Grandin, McLeod, and Bell is really good, and yeah, Sarah checking in saying that it's fantastic from Scott's point of view, and I believe it, because these guys are really giving each other a lot of room, but you can see just how close they are.
It's funny, we have so Pablo Hansen, that's Paul Bachler checking in. He says a mixed tire set isn't worse than not pitting at all. And that's true. It's funny, you get into this trance when you're doing laps, and people have just plain forgotten to pit, and it's the worst feeling when you go by the pit entrance on your last shot. You're like, I don't have enough fuel to get back around. I guess this is done.
Don't ask him how he knows. Oh man, smoking the brakes there. All right, well, these guys are putting on a heck of a show, but we owe some other folks some screen time here, because they are not the only show in town. Let's check back in here with Pim Luth, who's had a rough evening, I would say, but he and Matthew Shepka, who won the earlier race, found each other now on track. This is the race for 29th overall. So Pim ultimately now up 8 spots, so that's good. And Matt up 4.
And I wasn't paying attention, and I see Mike all by his lonesome. Well, he's got Jeffrey Decker behind him, so I take it Edwin pitted. Let me see if I can find Edwin again. Yeah, he must have taken fuel.
Yeah, he's down in 16th now, 42 seconds back. Oh, somebody shot across the screen. I'm not sure who that was.
Oh yeah, I just saw smoke lighting up. And I'll tell you what, speaking of, that could just be normal entry into turn 2. One of the things that's been a real challenge this week is you're skating into the turn for turn 2. There are a couple undulations in the road, and you're at or beyond your level of grip, and that smokes up the tires. You're really just trying to let the car settle into that turn, and along the way, you fill the track up with smoke. Anybody behind you can lose all of their visibility of the track, and it's difficult for us to see that on the broadcast, but when you're behind that, you're relying solely on track memory and the positioning of the cars that you recall from the last time you saw them there. And you hope and pray as you go through that cloud of smoke that everything's okay.
Yeah, they really upped the ante there on the smoke dynamics, the physics, and
They really did. It's a neat effect, but it is blinding at times.
See Steve Dewar here. He's definitely holding his own in 6th position. He has not hit. So the top 15 right now. Edwin is the first driver who has pit. He pit on lap 16, so 3 laps ago. The presumptive, or at least hopefully up close to the lead there. But so keep your eye there on Edwin Marino as Pitch Johnson and Wright come down pit road.
Yeah, and I'm watching Scott Bell and Michael McLeod and Steve Dewar hash it out for positions. It looks like 5, 6, and 7, I think. But like you said, they haven't pitted, so I'm expecting them to make their way into the pits here. Hopefully it goes smoothly. Nope. They're going for another pass. Michael McLeod thought about going inside. Oh, washes out, holds his brakes.
Oh, get it.
And wow, good on everybody. Everybody did what you want to see there.
Oh, oh my goodness, somebody else went scooting off over there. It was JR Hoops. Oh no, he was having such a great night. Some really close racing with some folks. Hate to see that for him.
Yeah, that's something else we beg of drivers is if you lose control, please hold your brakes. It's counterintuitive a lot of times. You know, when you're sitting in the car and you spin, you want to let it roll off the racing line so that you open that line back up for anybody coming through. But statistically, that just does way more harm than good. Because by the time people see you sliding around, they're planning an escape based on where you are right now. And they're willing to go off track to make that happen. But if you let your car roll across the track, you might close off, the option that they chose.
Yeah. It's the, at the end of the day, it's the KISS principle. It's predictability. Yeah. If you've got your brakes locked, we know where you're going, even if it's not ideal. I'd rather just be able to predict where your car is going to go, even if, to your point, if that means I got to go off track, then fine. But
Yep.
Well, we got a lot of takers down pit road now. You can see the board really lighting up here. Jeffrey Decker remains out. Carl Dronke remains out. Peter Miller and Jeff Torbeck all remain out. That's going to leave Chris Herrera.
Oh, we're going to have a collision. Oh, whew. Almost had a collision in pit lane.
Well, Jeffrey Decker's coming down. Carl Dronke's coming down. Oh, yep.
I really got it wrong. I was not a fan of having pit stops this week, but so far it seems like both ends of pit lane have been very uneventful.
Yeah, no arguments there. So this is actually Chris Herrera was able to come out. He's got 3 seconds now on Edwin, who was the first to pit of that lead group. Let's see where Decker, Dronke, Miller. So Decker's on his way out. And Dronke's still in there. What is he? Dronke must have had a penalty or something. That his pit time is just way too long. Maybe not a penalty, but maybe what we were talking about with the tires or something like that, because that time just does not make a ton of sense to me. So, all right, this is where we're at, folks. Jeffrey Decker out front. He's got 3.5 seconds on Chris Herrera right there, who has 2.5 seconds on Edwin Viorino. That's going to be your top 3. And we are pretty well spaced out. Looks like everybody has done at least one pit stop now. So we've cycled through. And this is basically what we've got to the end of the race, assuming everybody took enough fuel, which is always the big if. Always the big if. And if you're wondering what happened to Mike Bowers, I'll tell you what, I don't know either. He spent 1.5 minutes on pit lane. 54 seconds in the box itself. So that, to me, that is more of a penalty type of time.
Yeah. Might have cooked it coming into the pits. That's too bad.
Yeah.
The times he's been putting down here this week have just been unreal.
I'll tell you what, I take back what I said about Carl. It does look like his time was a little was normal relative to everybody else. So, or at least thereabouts. So he's back up in 4th where he started, and yeah, that's unfortunate for Mike Bowers. He's now mired back in traffic here. He's got Jeff Torbeck and Sean Trediak ahead of him for the moment.
Looks like Adam Wright just had a spin.
Oh, he was having a good.
Yeah, he and Steve were battling in the infield, and I don't know if there was contact or what, but Adam was sideways when I found him.
Oh no, and it's like Bell, Wright, and Dewar, who, yeah, this has been a lot of fun watching these guys. Looks Bell and Wright got into each other there, a little nose to tail. So we'll see what happens there, but Bell and Miller remain close together there. Trediak, Torbeck, Bowers. Another good race is Dan Pagowski. We saw in the first race. You can see there with Rusty Pottenberg, also of Skippy Formula 2. And there goes Rafael Bofill. So we got some good Skippy Formula 2 action going on here for that 21st position.
Good. And I'm not up on the latest. Who was our SF2 winner tonight?
Matt Shupka.
Nice. Congratulations, Matt. Another relative newcomer to the league. A huge contributor, too. He's been hosting sessions for everybody. He's got a Wednesday session, I think Wednesday, that he puts up, and then he put something up last night, and then he has a regular Sunday session that he puts up. So thank you, Matt, for doing all of that for us.
So biggest mover, from what I can tell, is Sean Trediak right now, up 17 spots. As you can see, he and Mike Bowers going wheel to wheel. So Sean doing what it takes to pick up those positions, get his car in the right spot, and he's in P14 right now.
So Mike thinking about a pass. Yeah, it looks like he was thinking about a pass, but then Sean came back over and Mike had to replan. It'll be interesting to see what Sean does with Mike behind him when you're in a position where Mike is certainly one of the quickest guys at this track. Sean is by no means a slouch whatsoever, but he'll have a decision to make. Does he try to hold Mike back there and live with that stress for the remainder of the race?
I mean, just look how close.
Yeah,
that nose right in there.
Oh yeah. So Sean will have to decide if he wants to let him by and just concede the position, or if we're just going to duke it out for the remainder of the race. So it looks like Mike's going to go inside for the pass around turn 1. Sean does not defend.
There you go. Well, let's see what else we got going on here. Looks like McLeod is back in the pits. Gurkin Demir passes Oliver Hartley for 18th position. And yeah, I'm not sure what happened with McLeod.
Yeah, I
been
didn't
down there
see
for
anything.
a minute and a half, so potentially another a penalty situation there for McLeod.
Tell you what, the yellow cones sneak up on you quick here. You can't see them when you're coming into the pits until you turn the car into this little offshoot, and it's that moment where the cones become visible, and they're right there. So it's your pit entries here are really something you want to practice. If you try it cold, you're going to hit the wall. You're going to get a penalty. It just sneaks up on you so quickly.
Well, we're gonna be about 6 minutes remaining here.
And meanwhile, we have Jeff Torbeck giving Sean Trediak the business.
Both these guys, man, up 17 spots and 12 spots respectively. So even though Mike Bowers got around him, yeah, Mike is fast. So not that these guys are, Mike is super fast, leading the race for a lot of it, and walking away with a 14th and 15th, especially here with all the off tracks that we've seen, and somebody else is off the track there. Who that was? Looks like somebody just trying to get the blue flag.
Uh-oh. And 43 spins. Oh, he collects it though.
You gotta feel for the guys trying to, let the leaders by with the blue flags, because there just isn't a ton of great spots for that. You just kind of hope that you get caught in a good place. I'll tell you what, you're not joking about that turn 1 entry there. We're just seeing a lot of people really putting that smoke, the new smoke physics on display.
Yeah, that is the fast way through there. Is you feel like you're hydroplaning almost, and you want it to settle just in time so that it compresses into the turn, and then you accelerate out of it. And when it all goes well, it feels fantastic. When it doesn't go well, bad stuff happens.
Well, I got my eyes here, been keeping one eye on, and Jeffrey Decker's leading the race. He's got 1 second now back to Chris Herrera, who is pushing hard because there's only a few laps remaining, and Edwin Virino now 4.6 seconds back from your leader. So this could get interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what's going through Chris's mind right now is got to get back in the draft. He's going to need that. And I was just racing Jeff about an hour ago, and that's not going to come easy.
Right. I mean, you can see here. So Chris just laid down the hot lap of the evening on the last lap. We'll see if he can do it again, because, man, I can't believe how fast that gap is coming down. And
yeah, he's in it now.
Surprising because of exactly what you said. Jeffrey Decker's a fast driver, so that is shocking. And we're going to see Oliver. Yeah. See, it's just tough, man. Oliver trying to respect the blue flag. He's going to be off the track and get back on there.
I think for most tracks, our blue flag rules are really good. But here, like you said, unless you're on the straight, there's really no good place to yield. So.
And the last thing you want to do is mess up, other drivers' races. So.
Yeah.
Going up over the bridge here, Chris is found Decker's gearbox.
Yeah, we're gonna have a battle here. And what's interesting is this is the situation we were in at Mid-Ohio a week ago. It was this scenario right here on the last lap. So a little bit of a rematch.
Not sure what happened to Edwin, but he's back on pit road. So the third place falls now to Carl Dronke, who is 10 seconds back. So these guys are out here on an island at the moment. 2.5 minutes remaining.
So strategy is really going to come into play here with these two, and unsurprising to me, Jeff does not defend his position at all. And if I'm him, I'm going to let Chris take the lead with 2 laps to go, so that I can put the same move on him next lap. But what he's got to be thinking right now is, how do I set up turn 12? That's the last turn of the race. He's got to set that up well so he gets a good run, because Chris is going to defend that really hard.
We saw that in the first race. It was, forgive me, it's Jake Ashe, and I forget who the other driver was, but that was the exact same scenario, and ended up the difference being thousandths of a second. So
yeah, and right now, I mean, Jeff is about 4/10 back, and that's not close enough. He really needs to be within a quarter second to pull off a pass. So he might not have the run to get to do this. But we don't have a white flag yet, do we?
no, we'll be, looks like
Okay.
this time by. So we got a minute. I got to imagine this is the last lap here. It's gonna be real close.
Yeah. So in which case, Jeff knew exactly what he was doing, probably. He would not want to take that back just yet. I thought that would be a white flag at that point.
Well, keep your eyes open here. We've got good battles throughout the field. Prophet Bofill passing Oliver Hartley there for P19. We'll check in with those guys here in a little bit, but for the moment, this is the battle to watch. Chris Herrera, Jeffrey Decker coming down the line.
All right, so he's closing that up a little bit. But Chris is, I mean, he's keeping just enough distance that it may not be easy to pull this off.
Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Here comes the checkered flag. Chris Herrera is going to win it soundly, with enough fuel, no less. Jeffrey Decker. And second, here's Carl Dronke coming out in third place. He will round out your podium. Congratulations to those guys. Really fantastic. Eric Lamoureux, Idge Johnson. Let's see, we've got some good battles here. This is Scott Bell trying to catch Jeremy Grandin. Probably not going to happen. Just a little too late. A little further back here, Sean Trediak and Jeff Torbeck. These guys have been next to each other. Let's see if Jeff Torbeck can't pull off exactly what you were talking about. He's got his nose right in there. He's going to go off the track. Maybe. Coming down to the line, it's going to be a drag race. Looks like Sean is going to be able to pull it out, though. 0.07 seconds is the gap that I was showing, but...
Oh, great fight, though. That's a good finish right there.
Love to see it.
Yeah, they had a good race.
Well, these guys really put on a show tonight. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I don't envy them. We'll go back and, or maybe we'll go back. That initial crash there ended a couple nights early. Took out a couple promising drivers, or at least out of serious contention. So we just never know, but that's part of the race. And at the end of the day, Chris Herrera puts himself in a good position and is able to hold off a charging Jeffrey Decker for the win. Carl Dronke ends up in third. Get the results up here. There we go. You guys can see what I'm looking at. All right. Let's see. as we wait for people to trickle in and see if anybody wants to give an interview, we will scroll through the results. And I mean, I don't know, man. Any big takeaways that you saw from today? Did it live up to your expectations? This was I know this was on a lot of people's radars at the beginning of the season, and I think it was a pretty good race. I'm sure we wish we would have had that initial yard sale back, but outside of that, saw some good battling. I'm really interested to see what happened to some of those drivers and their whether it was penalties or what happened. But we saw a couple pit lane excursions that I was not expecting.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, this track produces excellent battles, and I don't think it disappointed at all in that regard. Um, and I was very surprised, pleasantly, that we really didn't have any pileups at the pit entry. That's really what I was expecting. I thought that there would just be a junkyard or a scrapyard at the end of the night, but it was handled very, very well. So congratulations to everybody. This is not an easy track for pit stops.
Yeah, I think it's a hopefully part of the highlighting that helped in the beginning. But I look at this top 10 here, and I'm scrolling through, but um, Joshua Fitz Johnson in P5, Steve Dewar, Peter Miller, Jeremy Grandin, Scott Bell, and Max DiGiacomo round out your top 10. Max was up 16 spots total. Thor Tolo up in P11. Sean Trediak up 19 spots in 12th position. Oh man, Jeff Torbeck up 14 and 13. I mean, just the top of the grid here. Great to see some of these guys getting their yeah, just finishes, and I know they put the work in, and seeing the results come out is just great to see. A lot of guys that are fast, much faster than I am, and I cheer for them every week, and it's good to see them at the top of the board there.
Yeah. It was a good race. Good race.
Oh, sorry, I had a drink go down the wrong tube there. All right.
Well, I can fill in if you want. We've got Mike Bowers.
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, I know you're having a baby pretty soon here, Chris. So I'm thinking that maybe there's room in the broadcast booth because I should retire.
Really? Is this?
Yeah.
I mean, clearly we saw what happened, but we're just a little confused.
So am I. So I said. What I think happened actually is, I entered pit road just like I had practiced quite a bit because I knew I had a decent pace here this week. So I was like, you're not going to blow this and doing something stupid on pit road. So you should never say you're not going to, it's like, don't hit the ball to the right on the golf course, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I went in and I actually got a glance at Jeffrey, like in my rearview mirror that felt pretty close. And I don't know if I pulled off the brake just a tiny bit or what, but I had to be barely speeding. Of course, after I got the penalty, I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
That's tough, man. I mean, it was great to see you up there leading the race and really setting the standard for the field for a while. And I hate to see it, lost on something like that. It's just, you just hate to see it.
Oh yeah. But I thought I'd come in here and cry like a 12-year-old.
I've done it.
Yeah, I'll tell you honestly though, I love this racetrack, and I was so excited all week long because I had good pace here, and I thought this is going to be a lot of fun because I could pass very, very comfortable, and I just can't believe I blew that. But I'll tell you who I was really surprised is how fast Jeffrey was tonight. I mean, he's fast often, but he surprised me a little bit because in the beginning of the week he didn't have that pace, and he picked up his game like he always does.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. To your point, I'd never count him out, but I think it's interesting. When you were racing against him, was it in the practice sessions or public races?
Just earlier in the week, I saw him a few times, and then what was it? I think a Wednesday night practice,
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday or Friday or
So
something.
you're in. So this is interesting. Like for the people who watch, we do have those practice sessions, and they have different formats. It's not like you're just going in and racing, but you guys are clocking each other. You're okay. They're fast there. Learn a little something
Oh
there,
yeah.
and you're kind of filing all that stuff away for the
Yep.
race on Sunday nights, huh?
I actually did some recon because I've been fooled before where I thought I was fast and ended up showing up and I wasn't. And I was really upset last week because I was quick last week, I thought, and I'm feeling like I can contend. I mean, like not luck into stuff, like race for wins. And to be honest, the practice sessions have helped that quite a bit because they'll invert the field and stuff like that and reignited what I like about racing. I'm not doing this draft baloney garbage anymore. I'm going to show up and I'm going to race. I'm going to pass you. If you want to save fuel, you can do all that cutesy stuff, but I want to race. I don't care if I finish third, I'm going to race. And I'm going to make people mad. But it is so fun to just race hard. And those inverted field practices where you start dead last and have to work through the field, it reignited what I like about racing, and it's racing, it's not following.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that we started the USF 2000 series. Is you're not alone. I've been taking a break from a lot of Skippy races, and that's really the chief reason. There's a lot of things about the car that I love, but like you said, you have to sometimes set racing aside as part of your strategy, and that's very counter to why I race. And the USF 2000 and the other formula cars with higher downforce, that kind of goes out the window, and you get back to that just brass tacks racing for position. So yeah, join us on Thursdays.
Yeah, I know it. I need to do that some more. But in all honesty, the racecraft is what I'm better at. I'm not really a good hot lapper. I do okay, but when I can race wheel to wheel, I feel like that's my strong suit. It was when I raced in real life. I was never the guy that went out and sat on the pole, led every lap and stuff, but I always found myself at the front at the end, and it was by racecraft. So I miss that and I want it. But anyway, I just thought I'd come whine. And again, Chris, good luck this week there, buddy.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I'll pass that along to Megan for sure, because
Yeah,
I get to sit there and and pretend to help. So
yeah, I
it'll
never
be a
got
good-
close enough to my wife. She'd hurt me in that moment.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly. No, but we do appreciate it, man. That's yeah. My heart broke for you here tonight, and starting on the front row, seeing you out front, and I totally get what you're saying. I didn't chime in here, but I race on Sunday mornings in a the NASCAR Cup series league, and I'm the same way. I don't hot lap. I qualified. I gave it my darndest, and I qualified 18th this morning, but by the end of it, I find myself out front. So and that's what I enjoyed about it. It's not necessarily the hot lapping part of it. It's the racecraft. It's managing traffic and all that stuff. So I totally get what you're saying, and hopefully we can capture some of that more in the Skippy and the USF game.
well, I'm going to do more of it, and I might make some people mad. So I'll give you something to watch.
No, man, I don't think so. As long as you're not putting people, I think that we'll be all right.
No, if you see me hit somebody, trust me, it's 100% on accident because that is not my MO. I don't think
Exactly.
I've hit anybody in one of these races, but I'd have to look. I'm sure I have, but who knows? Anyway, take it easy, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks
see
for
you
letting me
around.
cry a little bit. Yeah, I needed a good cry. So thanks.
Take
We'll
care,
see you
Mike.
around.
Good night.
Mike Bowers, really strong start to the evening, and just unfortunately, you hate to see it, but just couldn't get it done. But we look forward to seeing what he can do next week. In the meantime, let's bring in Jeffrey Decker, because somebody else who had a fantastic race and just came up a little short, but it was to Chris Herrera. So you can be forgiven, but
that guy.
that guy. Yeah. So if you want to, I can bring him in here too, so you can talk the smack directly to him, or we can just do it?
No,
We can see it in the
we got that out of the way and
replay.
stand by. Yeah, we got that out of the way and stand by.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, man. So hey, talk us through it. I mean, you look like you had a real strong car. Everybody's talking about how fast you were. I mean, it looked like you had it in the bag there.
Yeah. So I was kind of like going into the race trying to figure out what I wanted to do on fuel strategy, and I kind of landed on just trying to get as many laps in the first stint as possible because I just figured traffic is going to be really bad. I actually messed up my fourth qualifying lap, so I might have been able to eke out pole, but third was fine. It helped me save fuel in that first stint, and then just being able to get that extra lap in at the end, I think really helped with traffic. Like Edwin came in early, and I think he got caught up in traffic, and I know Mike had like a speeding penalty, but it might have just been like him and I battling at the end without that, but it worked out. I came out in the lead, and then I had just had traffic problems in that last stint too. I had a really nice lead, but kind of just like didn't get through the traffic as smoothly as possible. And then this track, like once you get out of your rhythm, it for me at least, it takes me some laps to get back into it. And by then, I mean, if you have Herrera on your gearbox, it's not a comfortable position to be in. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty happy with the result. P2. I honestly came into this week thinking like if I just can eke out like a P10, I'll be happy because I feel like I started the week so poorly.
Well, I mean, you're in the Jason. You were updating the standings there real time, and this is going to, a P2 is going to help your cause. I think.
Yeah. It's all fake though, right? We don't have the drop weeks yet, so like my points are going to drop significantly.
No, we
and I
put them
think-
in.
Oh, we have drop. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we put them in there.
Oh yeah.
I don't even want to. Don't even tell me. I don't even want to know.
Yeah, you should absolutely go into each race like you're down. But I guess the point being, you know, overall the season, you know, is super strong, and going into the last portion of it, you got a lot of good momentum, and you know, hopefully we can keep it up. Going into that last lap, Jason and I were watching you guys battling. It was a great race. Were you? When he passed you, I think it was 2 laps ago. It was right toward the end, and he made it around you. Were you attempting to try to get set up there for a drag race to the start finish line? Was your thought to let him by so that you could get the draft going, or were you hoping to just maintain the lead and throw the blocks at the end?
Yeah, I was hoping to maintain the lead, but when he got the good run, I kind of just wanted to not contest that because I mean, trying to hold the outside there can get really sketchy. Clip the dirt, and then that's your race. So I was hoping that on the last lap I could draft him, and I didn't quite get the lap together. So yeah, I was trying to set up for the drag race, and then again, I pushed a little bit too much, and this track will bite you if you push in the wrong way, and that's what kind of happened. So yeah, couldn't quite challenge him there at the end, but he had a lot of pace, so it's all to his credit, really. He put me under pressure, and I cracked a little bit, and he took complete advantage, which I always expect from Chris.
I think it's important to point out though, like that is a good calculated, like don't panic. It seemed like you had the long view there of the season as a whole. You know, of course you want the race win, but in that moment, it's just kind of incredible that you could be in the moment and be thinking, okay, you know what, this could go sideways real quick for everybody, and so I'm gonna not push the issue. You still end up with a P2 and the season points lead at the end of the day. So I think that mentality is going to end up serving you very well. And you know, there's time to push it. There's times not to push it. So that's just good to see.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, last week was weighing in my mind. Like, I did not want a repeat of last lap last week because I got super lucky in that one. So I don't think you get lucky twice with something like that.
You don't want to use it all up just yet.
Exactly.
Good stuff, man. Well, hey, anybody to say hi to before we let you go and bring in Chris?
Yeah, just big thanks to my wife for always letting me do these. My puppy, I guess, as well, you know, and my wife dealing with the puppy. He's been a handful. Any friends who end up watching, sometimes I have a couple of buddies who will watch the replays, and then always to you guys for doing the broadcast. It's always a good time watching it back.
Our pleasure, man. Well, hey, congratulations. Another great finish for you. And we look forward to seeing if you can. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. Look forward to seeing how the rest of the season goes. I'm not even gonna. I've
Me too,
had
yeah.
a really bad rash of broadcaster's curse here, so
Yeah,
I'm just gonna shut
let's
up.
not do that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fair enough. All right, man. Well, we'll see you next Sunday.
Later, guys.
Yep.
Take care.
All right. Let's see. Chris Herrera's in the booth now. Finished with enough fuel and making team running on empty proud and pulling out the victory there right at the end. Speaking of which, great fuel strategy / pit stop. You ended up making up a lot of ground on that, if I remember correctly, and was able to pull out the great finish at the end. Jeffrey Decker's a fast driver, and I'll tell you what, that's when you decided to set some purple laps and close that gap. So, I mean, talk us through after the pit stops had cycled and what was going through your head? Are you just like, man, time to put the pedal to the floor here? Like,
Yeah. Before I forget, I do want to point out, without some very incredible luck from some back markers, I probably would not have been able to catch Jeff. I know he had some really good pace today, but he got unfortunate with some back markers, and that helped me a lot. So I'm not going to complain too much. And then once I caught up, I was able to stay ahead of him. So I was very happy with that. But overall, in terms of the race, my gosh, that was so much fun. I now get what Pete was talking about last week when he said that Mid-Ohio is basically the second half of Oran Park, but the whole thing. I told you last week that, yeah, I remember Oran Park. I just can't visualize it. But it turns out I'd never raced it before. And waiting until Friday to learn the track, I guess it worked out in this case, but it was very stressful. And I'm not sure if Jeff mentioned it to you just a few minutes ago, but he and I were talking a few minutes before you brought him into the standby or into the interview booth. And he was saying how, yeah, I think I maybe practiced too much because, the more practice or the more races you do, the more areas of the track you become very aware of where you can go off track or lose a lot of time. So it's always in the back of your mind. And I was thinking, man, that's a really good point. Some of my worst races are the ones that I've done a whole lot of races on, and some of the best ones are the ones where I did very few. And because of that, I was maybe a little more cautious and more consistent. But in terms of today's race, I had an unfortunate qualifying. I mean, I was still pretty happy with P5 because I was able to start towards the front. But that was my second lap, and the second laps 3 and 4, I went off track on both of them, and that was very unfortunate. And then towards early on, before we pit, my strategy was to get as far ahead as quickly as possible because this is a very difficult track to pass on. But Edwin and Mike were just too fast up front, and either Jeff and Carl didn't want to try to make moves on each other, or they just couldn't because the people ahead were too fast. So it was just a group of 5 of us. I don't know what happened behind us, but we ended up having quite a bit of a gap behind us. And then before the pit stop, Carl lost his rear in the last complex of turns, and luckily I was able to avoid him. I actually wanted to watch the replay. I saved my replay just so I can watch that. And then at that point, I had my work cut out for me, and I was thinking, oh, okay, well, if there's any time to set the hottest laps here, it's right now when I'm like 3 or 4 seconds behind. And then Edwin pit early, and then I think Mike got a speeding penalty going into the pits, and Edwin, based on the chat in the Discord, it sounds like maybe somebody crashed into him, so that was unfortunate. And then, like I mentioned, Jeff got unlucky with the back markers, allowing me to catch up. But those last few laps, when I was trying to convince myself, like, maybe I have a chance, maybe I have a chance. Oh my God, I'm getting closer and closer. That was just some of the most exciting racing I've had in my life. But it was also a good opportunity to sort of practice on, trying to stay calm, focus on the race itself. Don't worry about anything else right now. Just, apexes and exits and whatnot. And then that last lap when I was ahead and finishing on the very last lap, that was very stressful as well, but also very exciting. And when I crossed that finish line, I haven't stopped smiling since. It was a combination of course, I got the win. I'm very happy with that, but also just some very good racing. And I was very happy with my pace today. I think I would have probably put myself up with anybody today in terms of who gets at the hottest clean air fast lap. I got the fastest lap overall, but that was with the help of Jeff towards the end in his draft. So all that said, very, very fun race. I hope you guys had a good time. Absolutely shout out to Running on Empty and everybody else who's watching. And if you're still listening to this point, good on you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this one. Of course, because I won and I like watching myself win, but also I think there was a lot of excitement going on. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, agreed, man. It was a there's some good racing going on throughout the field. You hate we were talking about earlier. You hate to see some of it and the way it does for some of these drivers. You always want to make sure that guys are making it to the end of the race, and it comes down to the driver v driver. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's all racing, and stuff happens, and you put yourself in the position to get to the end, and you set the hottest laps right when you needed to, and was able to pull it off.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like that's something to be very proud of, I think. But
Yeah, thank you, man. I
um,
appreciate it.
yeah, yeah. It's a. Yeah, I mean, any. I saw you congratulate uh, Joshua Fitz Johnson for his first top five as well. And we had a lot of good news stories here from this race overall. Some bad ones, but I'm sure I see a lot of mea culpas going on in the Discord as well. But yeah, some good news stories too. Some drivers finally seeing all that work pay off, and the field's just getting tighter and tighter. So it's good to see. It's good
Yeah.
from our perspective, from the fans watching. I consider myself one of those fans that are watching. So
I mean, hell, me too.
yeah, right,
Um,
yeah.
and I don't know, I'm not sure if you guys noticed or mentioned, but I think it was the top 28 were all within 1 second of each other, which was Pete's favorite metric in terms of qualifying.
Exactly.
It's probably a little bit easier on this track since it's only a minute 12, minute 13, but still, that is a
Yep.
bunched up group of folks right there.
Yep. Yep, exactly. And yeah, well, even through P, 41 or whatever it was, wasn't that far off. It was inside of 3 seconds. So, the large field, you guys navigated it about as well as you could expect 40 drivers on this
Yeah.
track. So,
And
anyway,
Jason, I think you started from the back, right? Where you were like around the corner, around the curve.
Oh, I was actually in the booth. The only reason I was in the session at all was so I could get the drivers meeting.
Ah, I see. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. All right. Well, I've taken up quite a bit of your guys' time already. So, again, thanks for everything. Another shout out to Running on Empty because they're the best. And I'll see you guys soon.
all right, man.
Yeah,
We'll see you next week.
congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. You too, Chris. Bye, guys.
See ya. As your race winner there, Chris Herrera. He's good to be back in the winner's spot. I'm sure. Very happy for that. And he did exactly what it took to get around some really fast drivers. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can chalk it up. There's a lot of fast drivers who had some unfortunate circumstances too, but at the end of the day, everybody starts on the same grid, and so you finish where you finish, and that's where he finished. So congratulations to Chris, and thanks for Running on Empty for tuning in and cheering him on. I'm sure that gave him a little bit of juice there at the end too. Well, any final thoughts, Jason? I mean, it was I'm sorry, I'm trying to do a couple things here. It looks like the stewards are gonna maybe have some stuff to look at.
Yeah, I think so. There's, definitely some whispers of some blue flag issues, but like you and I said on the broadcast, I didn't see anything that stood out, and I spent a lot of time keeping track of the leaders, so I can certainly relate to the frustration there. But like we said, once you come out of turn 3, opportunities to pass, facilitating a pass can be every bit as dangerous as not in a few of these corners. So definitely some things to dig into. We'll have some protests come in. We'll take a look at it. But this is just a very, very difficult track. When you have that large skill experience, speed differential that we have in the league, it can get really tricky. And we had that first lap incident that immediately put a bunch of people down as lapped traffic. So that was going on for the duration of the race. Usually we don't see that start to occur until maybe halfway through or 2/3 of the way through. But our entire race, we had people on varying laps. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it's it's just tough. I mean, we're kind of asking for it. We're victims of our own success to some extent with that many cars, and especially tracks like this. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I see what I see is a lot of. I'm sure it's a little consolation in the heat of the moment right now. all the apologies going on, but I think that's the right mentality to have, is like, stuff happens. Nothing malicious or like completely silly was going on. It was just, you get that many cars on a little section of track
Yeah.
and stuff's going to happen. Sometimes it is what it is. So,
Yeah, there are a lot of weeks where our format and the way we do things really works in our favor, and it makes for really good racing that can appeal to a lot of different people. But like you said, we have weeks where we're at a really tight technical track, especially again when you have that incident that occurs early on and immediately sets people apart. Yeah, it can really set the stage for some shenanigans.
well, my friend, thank you very much for joining me in the booth tonight. It was a lot of fun watching it with you, and I really appreciate it. Especially, I mean, I would appreciate it anyway, but with Pete off, getting a new home that we're all excited for him to have, and his
Yeah.
family, that would have been really painful to listen to just me. I think people are getting used to the whole having other people in the booth thing. So it's good to be able to deliver on that. And of course, we
it's a
always
good time. Thanks for
appreciate
having me.
your insight and just expertise on that. So um, anyway, any final thoughts? We're going to
Are we at a Hockenheimring next week?
Hockenheim?
I
Boy,
don't
should
know.
this. Yeah.
Schedule. No, we are at Imola.
Imola. Okay, Imola. There we
Yeah.
go. Very good. Very good. So, geez, I wouldn't say the exact opposite, but a Formula One course, probably a little more wide open, but there's still some corners there.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, even in the Skippy, there's definitely some technical sections there,
Yep.
and it was actually one of our larger safety score sheets last season, if I recall. So,
Good.
Yeah,
Good. That's what we like to see. A little. No, hopefully we'll have shaken that all out for the first race, and everybody's used to it now, and we'll go in there and it'll be great. But I mean, it's a great track. I was just there. We just raced there in our Formula 3 league, and it was my first race on it. I really enjoyed it, in that car at least. And of course, it's historic, and we get to watch it on television too. So it's
yeah.
all right. Well, that's all I got for tonight. We're gonna head on out, and just like the baby on Wednesday, hopefully, and
Yeah, congrats.
yeah, we'll see.
Like Mike said, good luck.
We'll need it, and with any luck, we're gonna play it by ear, obviously, for Sunday night. But worst case scenario, I think we've got some backup plans just in case, so we don't miss anything. But yep, we'll see what happens. I hope everybody has a great week and stays safe. We will see you at Imola next Sunday.
Yeah. Again, best of luck to you and your family. You guys take care of yourselves. And as soon as the dust settles a bit, please let everybody know how everybody's doing. So.
Will do, man. Yeah, of course. We will. I'm sure we'll be posting some pictures for everybody to welcome baby girl Swirl and get her into the racing rig as soon as possible. I'm looking forward to that. All right. Well, have a good week, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you around.
All right. Take care, Chris.